Hi everyone, still in the lead, still going strong. I seem to be I should be the last person to drop off the front, so hopefully I'll get a little extension, but I'm still going to have this problem with my foil. I had a quick look this morning, she's still a little stump hanging out, there really isn't very much left, so it's not really much use. In fact, it's almost certainly slowing me down at the moment, so this means I've got to work harder, try and stay in front for as long as I possibly can. If I can stay in the front, or stay in front, then you never know what's going to happen. Down here now it's pretty cold. I don't know if you can see, I've got what we call Vendee house up. So this covers the back of the cockpit and stops all the spray and most of the water from coming in. Quite nice to look at the cockpit with a wide angle. She's a bit messy, ought to tidy her up in a minute. That's through the bug eye window. Just getting a few jobs done this morning, trying to fix a couple of leaks, a couple of little tweaks with the engine. Apart from that, we're all good on board Hugo Boss.
Undoubtedly, unidentified floating objects have caused a lot of trouble so far. After Bertrand de Broc's keel, Alex Thomson's foil, yesterday Vincent Riou was forced to abandon because of a damaged keel bearing.
Moi, j'ai une grosse déception personnelle.
It's a great disappointment for me to have to abandon. But the thing is, you've got to imagine all the people that are involved in this adventure. You've got to imagine the disappointment of this whole community who supported us. And it's true. It's a burden that's hard to carry, especially on solitary races where you're alone in action. So stories that end this way, the sooner you turn the page, the better for everyone. Last night, it was Sébastien Joss's turn to get frightened after a shock on the starboard rudder. As a result, 4 hours lost to set back the rudder's lifting system that was distorted. Sébastien Josse lost his second position in the ranking to Armel Leclerc's favor. As for the race itself, in the evening, the pace should slow down for the head. And since the wind will come back from the rear, it could allow the pursuers to reduce the gap.
I seem to be I should be the last person to drop off the front, so hopefully I'll get a little extension.
On the other hand, it's quite delicate for the pack who's got to play with a sequence of high-pressure bubbles, like for Quito de Pavon. I'm stuck. For the last 24 hours, I've been stuck, glued, literally. Haven't moved a foot or anything else. And I have a feeling this blasted high-pressure cell doesn't want to let go of me. Tells herself, this chap is kind of nice. Let's stick to him. It'll be nice. The smooth deal is for Fabrice Amedeo, who took the lead of this third group of pursuers.
Bienvenue sur New Rest Matmut.
Hello everyone, welcome to New Rest Matmut, where concentration is required with this 13th place, acquired following an eastwards course.
Dans l'Est, mais vous déconnez ou quoi?
Are you kidding or what? The party's on New Rest Matmut. You've got to enjoy what's to be taken. It's too darn good.
Welcome to the office. What an office in the southern hemisphere now. We crossed the equator yesterday at 2:53. And boy, oh boy, we're happy to cross that. Going 10, 11 knots, not very comfortable, but who cares? We are sailing, we are moving, and that's great. It's fantastic. We just took a riff. We just took a riff in a moment ago. Didn't want to push too hard on the boat. And it's all good. All good, working fine. So I'm glad we did that. We didn't slow down at all, actually. And we were next to each other in Les Sables d'Olonne with Bertrand de Broc on our right and PRB, Vincent Riou on our left, both have left the competition now. It's very sad to see you going, guys. And on a better note, I want to say hi to a family of 4 kids that have been they've discovered the Vendee Globe, discovered the virtual Vendee Globe, and discovered Face Ocean. And these guys are now absolutely passionate. Cheers, guys. As for me, thanks for watching us, and à demain 20h.
Well, hello and welcome everyone to another edition of Vendee Globe Live. It's Wednesday the 23rd of November. This is day 19 on the water. We've got another bumper show booked for you today. I'm very happy to welcome on my right Guillaume Everard, the Deputy Race Director of the Vendee Globe, who's going to be joining me throughout the show. And we're also very lucky to have on the line, dialing in from the UK, Ian Walker, Volvo Ocean Race reigning champion. Morning, Ian.
Morning. Bonjour.
Bonjour to you. We'll be coming back to Ian shortly. The big news from the racecourse overnight, of course, is that French sailor Vincent Riou, one of the favourites to win the Vendee Globe, he's been forced to abandon racing. He was one of the favourites. He won in 2004, but unfortunately he suffered some keel problems. We spoke to him earlier. Here's what he had to say.
This is a huge disappointment, but as every time, life goes on, and for me that means bringing my boat back safely to land somewhere. On Sunday night, something hit the bulb, the keel started to vibrate, it then started moving from side to side, that soon stopped. It was not immediate as the boat was going at 25 knots. When it happened, I didn't think much about it. The keel often hits things in ocean races, and this bang wasn't that big. Later that night, I started hearing cracking noises around the keel. The sort of noise I had already heard, as I had already had noises from the carbon rubbing between the keel and the hull. I said to myself that there was some friction, but that it wasn't serious. But gradually, the noise grew louder. I started to ask myself questions and think about what may have happened. The noise continued to grow until late yesterday, when I started hearing metallic sounds, as well as noises from the carbon. I could see that the bearings were damaged, and it was the beginning to affect the housing around the bearings. This morning the weather eased after the front went over. I was able to open the keel housing and feel around inside. I could feel that the keel was moving. I don't know what to think. This damage happened at almost the same point as the damage 4 years ago. When I passed Salvador a few days ago, I spent the night thinking about that. As I had passed Salvador, I told myself that I had got rid of my demons. And then, just as 4 years ago, in the same place, 14 days after the start, we collided with irreparable damage. Being down, it's hard.
Well, since that announcement yesterday afternoon, Vincent has been absolutely flooded with messages of support, not only from the members of the public, but also skippers too. We've had messages from Jan Elias, the Gitana team, Jeremy Bayou, to name just a few. And that initial tweet that was sent out by the PRB team has been seen 73,000 times. So that just goes to show how many people are following this race. Now, that wasn't the only drama on the racecourse yesterday. Seb Joss, up in the front three there, he reported that he actually hit something overnight as well. Caused some damage to his starboard rudder. Thankfully, nothing too bad. He says that he was driving along at about 25 knots when he hit something. It caused the rudder to kick up, and he had to stop the boat for 4 hours. That lost him around 60 miles, but thankfully this morning he is back up and running, and he is back on the chase, chasing down Alex Thomson and Armel Lecléache, who moves up to second place. Now, we wish Seb all the best, and we know that he's going to be putting the hammer down to make up those lost miles. Now, Guillaume, obviously ocean racing is a dangerous sport, but we've now lost 2 boats to hitting things in the ocean. What sort of a danger do these submerged things present?
The problem with the thing in the water is that they cannot see what they're going to hit, and as the boats are pretty fast, more than 25 knots when they hit the thing. It can be wood, it can be a container, it can be a whale, it can be a lot of things. And the problem is that with the speed of the boat today, the damage are bigger and bigger with the time. So today we are just trying to avoid something when we see it. So that's what Vincent told before in the French live. He told that a few days ago he was just sailing in between 2 whales, and it could have been through the whale, and he could stop the race earlier. So it's really a problem to avoid this problem.
It sounds like Seb Josse has had a bit of a lucky escape then.
Yeah, because finally Seb was sailing 25 knots of wind, and what he just hit the rudder. So the rudder could go up, and nothing has really broken. And if it has been the keel or the foil, the story wouldn't be the same today, maybe.
Well, Seb Josse there, back up and running. Let's have a little look now at what the racecourse is looking like today with this 3D animation. Of course, Alex Thomson still there out in front. He's got that 100-mile lead now in first place. Seb Josse, we've just mentioned, lost miles overnight, but he's there just behind Armel Lecléache in third. Now, in the backpack of that front group, we've got Morgan Le Gravier, Paul Maillard, Jeremy Bayou. Their speeds are dropping down, and they're now about a day behind. And then just behind that group, Jan Elly's making good ground, actually, picking his way through that corridor down south. The group behind, 1,700 miles back, the trio of Jean Le Cam, Jean-Pierre Dick and Thomas Riou. They're finally into some wind. And just behind, Eric Bellion. Worth mentioning, he's jumped 4 places overnight to move up into 18th place. There you can see the rest of the fleet trying to get out of that San Helena High. So, let's now hear from the race leader himself, Alex Thomson. We had a chat with him earlier. Here's what he said.
Yeah, well, the wind is very slowly going down. Be nice to have a bit of respite, I guess. And slowly it's going left, so going aft. At some point I'm going to have to stick a jive in and head to the south. I think it's going to get very nice for a while, so it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. Not everybody's dropped on, obviously. Frank Pop and Titana are still on the front, and the other guys have dropped off. Allow the gap to grow, which is good. It obviously becomes a bit of a concertina, the gap grows, it gets bigger, it gets smaller, it's going to get bigger and smaller, probably all the way across the Southern Ocean. It'll be interesting to see when the guys get in the same wind as me is how much I'm disadvantaged without my foil. Having a foil is relatively small. For me now is I can use my other foil. Pray that the rest of the race is on starboard. And then obviously a quick word for Riou. I really feel for the guy. He's one of the best. He's one of the best out here. One of the best boats. Most well prepared, and horrible what happened to him. Very sad and very sorry for him for what's happened this time.
Vincent having to retire is a bit of a reminder that things could have been much worse with the problems that you had with your foil.
Yeah, very clearly. I mean, I feel devastated for the guy. Last time he hit a mooring, a row floating mooring board in the middle of the ocean. It could have been an awful lot worse for me, but. Yeah, I'm still in the race, so I'm still in the hunt. I've got to carry on pushing, try my hardest, and we'll see what happens.
Well, there's Alex Thomson there. Let's now go live to Ian Walker in the UK. Ian, it sounds like these Vendee Globe sailors got it all going for them at the moment. It's all on.
Well, they've had a dream run, haven't they, to this point? It's been pretty much all downwind. It's been pretty windy, but nothing too windy, so... I'm not going to go as far as to say it's comfortable, because I think it's anything but comfortable, particularly on the foiling boats, but they've certainly made great progress, the front runners anyway.
And what do you make of this situation? Obviously, we've got those front group pulling away, and behind them there seems to be a sort of back group that are really struggling to catch up. What do you make of that?
Well, it's pretty normal. If you can get him on the head of the front down south, you can put 500, 1,000 miles. I remember Ericsson 4 when they broke the 24-hour record in the Volvo race a couple of races ago. They were fast enough to stay ahead of the front, and as everybody else dropped off the back of it in turn, you literally are throwing away hundreds of miles. And I mean, Alex has done a great job. It just makes you wonder how far ahead he would have been if he hadn't damaged his foil, because he really was in perfect position to benefit from being ahead of the front. And, unfortunately, the front is sort of dissipating a bit. So I don't think we're going to see as big a jump for him when the boats just behind him drop off. But that 60 miles that Seb has lost to the rudder incident, that could easily be, worth 2 or 3 times that once the weather's played out.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely interesting things going on the racecourse. Well, I think we can go now live to La Fabrique and skipper Alan Roura. Alan, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Good morning, Alan. How are you doing?
Well, pretty well. A bit warm, slowly downwind, 10 to 15 knots, so pretty cool, good weather.
Alan, for all of us watching the tracker, just explain to us your position and why you're quite so close over to the Brazilian coast.
Well, actually, I've got some fleet problems, so communication on board, so I've got to go really, really close to shore, so about 2 miles from Riou, to get 3G with my phone, and then there was some programs to make it work again. So that was quite tricky because there's a fishing boat, net, cargo, but now I'm back on the race, everything is working again, so that's pretty cool. The weather is not so bad, it makes me go quite south, but it seems like the guy ahead doesn't have lots of wind, so maybe I can still manage to come back close to it, so yeah, it's just a race. I mean, I don't have so much wind, but the boat is still in good conditions. I'm happy.
How vital is it for you, Alan, to have that communication system up and running, especially when you're sailing around the world?
Sorry, I didn't really hear you.
I was just asking, how important is it to have your communication system up and running, working perfectly, when you're racing around the world like this?
Communication is really important. I mean, weather information, communication, pictures, videos, so it's really the base now of those races. So now from Le Photo Noir, so a bit southern than Cabo Verde, I was without it, and so weather. And that's really tricky to sail on those, but without communication. So now I'm again as normal fishing boat on the Vendee. But still I'm with Iridium, that's not more with fleet, so the difference is really important. Everything is really slower to get weather. It takes me half an hour, so I feel really, I'm slow.
Alan, it's your first Vendee Globe. You're the youngest skipper in the Vendee Globe, 23 years old. We're just over 2 weeks in now. Is it everything that you thought it would be?
Sorry, could you repeat, please?
I was just asking, Alan, you're obviously the youngest skipper in the Vendee Globe fleet, 23 years old. Is this is your first Vendee Globe? Is it turning out to be everything that you thought it would be?
Well, to be the youngest, well, nothing. I mean, it's just kind of a curveball to do it. But let's say it's a really sweet race. I'm really proud, actually, of my team and me to be here today and to sail on that really beautiful route. I mean, there is really good sailors on that race. I mean, all of them, they're really good. So it's quite, it's a big game. It's a really big adventure. I'm just really happy to be here, and it's every day a new day. It's different. So condition, weather, mentally, we have some passage. Like the first week was just really hard at the start. Like thinking all the time of this moment of the Step de l'Antenna, and now it's thinking of the south. So it's I mean, age and all those things doesn't matter. We are human, and this race, it's the human, but it's the human.
Well, Alan, listen, thank you very much for dialing in, taking the time today to talk to us. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you in a few days' time. Safe sailing until then. Thank you very much. Now, Guillaume...
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Now, Guillaume, Alan's the youngest skipper in the fleet here. Fantastic to see lots of old faces on the course, lots of sailors that we know and love, but also great to see some young guys coming through as well.
Yeah, it's important, I think, for this Vendee to have young, not old people and everybody. It's the magic of this race, you know. Everybody can, if you are ready, if you had the good preparation, everybody can take the start of the race and everybody can then tell the story he wants to tell. So we have the leaders who are trying to make the importance of the race, but the other one are there for themselves, for trying to get around the world, for some ideas. And it's the Vendee. It's not only a race, it's also lots of stories. And the youngest skipper is going to tell something else than Rich Wilson, who is the older one. So everybody has his project, and which is very interesting on this race.
Absolutely. Well, let's now have a little look at the weather situation on the course. We can see from this weather chart that we're going to have up on the screen, down in the bottom right there's that leading group. They're running on the front of the cold front there. The front three boats still riding that wave. Just behind, the boats to the west, they're dropping off ever so slightly. Now, the front three, they're still ahead. Behind them, they'll have to wait up to pick up that next front that's coming through. That's about in the middle of the screen right now. They're going to have to wait till that comes along to pick that up. And that second group, stuck up behind right in that high pressure, right in the top left-hand of the chart, they're going to have to wait until the depression that you can see forming in the bottom left-hand corner comes through. So that's what we've got going on the course at the moment. Ian, pretty tricky times ahead for these sailors. What's your thoughts on how these guys in that back group can maybe try and do anything to catch up those miles?
Well, I can't see your graphic. I've had a look at the weather myself. And, I mean, the group, there's sort of three boats. Jean-Pierre Dick's group, sort of 8, 9, 10, I think, in the race. They look like they should get on the leading edge of the next system. Hopefully they can get south enough. And then I think we'll see them catching up a lot. The leaders look like they're going to be quite light winds and VMG downwind for a bit. So that's probably quite good for Alex. I think he'll be glad of a bit of a break. Remember, he's been doing, well, the leaders have all been doing the best part of 20 knots for days on end, or weeks on end. So a little bit of light air will go well in order to catch up on a bit of maintenance on deck. And also, of course, not having the foil won't be such a big problem as the wind goes light and as it goes VMG running. But yeah, maybe the group behind, I think we'll see them catch up. Whether the group further back, who are still near the Brazilian coast, I think they're going to miss the next train. So it could be a long old race for them to at least to the Cape of Good Hope.
Yeah, the rich certainly getting richer. Obviously, we're only 2 weeks into the race, Ian, but is it too early on to ask who your pick for the top spot might be?
Well, I mean, I guess what interests me is who's going to finish in one piece. We've not really had any difficult wind or sea state yet. And so, that will come at some point. It looks like certainly Arnell's been sailing pretty smart. He seems to be backing off. It sort of appears that some of them, Seb and Arnell, maybe Morgan as well, have been kind of almost capping their average speeds around 20 knots so things don't get too crazy, keep the boat in one piece. Alex was certainly able to take a lot of miles out of them. I'm waffling a bit. I know you want my pick. I guess if you had to pick someone, it would be Arnell at this stage. But, as we've seen, anybody can hit some debris in the water, and I would imagine at least one or two of those front runners are gonna have their own problems before the end of the race. What's interesting for me is how long can Alex hang on? Well, and if it's light air, VMG downwind, and then if they get southerly winds, so they're on starboard tack, hopefully he can hang on for a good while yet.
Well, interesting you should say that, actually, Ian. We spoke to Mike Golding yesterday, and his tip is that Alex is going to go around Cape Horn in first position. So let's see if that comes true. Ian, obviously, you're used to sailing around the world many, many times, winning the Volvo Ocean Race, but with a crew. Are we ever going to see you in the Vendee Globe on your own?
No chance. I don't like myself enough for that. I don't like my own company.
And are we going to see you on the start line of the next Volvo?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one as well. I mean, I think, you know, going back to the Vendee, it's what these guys do is quite incredible, and you know, it is a marathon, not a sprint, and they've still got an awful long way to go, and you know, they're a long way south, and they've got a long time down there, and I don't envy that section of the Volvo race where you know, especially when you get the southerly winds, you know, it's all very well looking at the weather maps and it says, oh, it's 20, 25 knots and all looks fine. But in real life, it's not like that. You've got squalls, you've got the southerly winds will be much colder. We've not seen that yet. So it's in one way, it's a beautiful part of the world, but in another way, it's a pretty tough and punishing environment. So a long way to go for these guys yet, and rather them than me.
Well, there you go. I think that's the sentiment to take from this. Still a very, very long way to go. That pretty much brings to an end another Vendee Globe live edition. Many, many thanks to Guillaume Everard for joining me in the studio. Many thanks to Ian Walker for dialing in from the UK. Many thanks to Alan Riou for dialing in from the coast of Brazil. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, live from Paris at the Vendee Globe HQ. In the meantime, check out our Facebook, check out our Twitter for all the latest news. And until then, bye-bye.